On page 181, we have activity 7, a cultural note. Do you see the picture? What do you see in the picture? Does that look like a family? I don't think so, because it's a parent-teacher conference. So some of you didn't do your reading. Okay, it looks like a family. Could be a family, but the title says parent-teacher conference. So I guess somebody is a parent and somebody's a teacher. What do you think? Maybe the mother with a child talking to a teacher? All right, yes, okay. A parent-teacher conference is a meeting between a parent and a child's teacher or child care provider. They discuss the child's progress and skills. Both the parent and the teacher can ask questions. They can talk about what the child does well and try to solve any problems. You know, to solve a problem, we learned the word solution. That's the noun. Solve is the verb. In this family, they look a little bit different. Look at the verb, it's solve, S-O-L-V, and the noun S-O-L-U-T-I-O-N, solution. Find a solution. Solve any problems. So the parent-teacher conference is an important meeting, and it usually happens only once or twice a year. As a parent, it's a good idea to prepare your ideas before this important conference. Maybe you have some questions that you want to prepare. Make a list of questions and thoughts before the meeting. Raise your hand if you have children and you have had a conference with your children's teacher. Let me see, how many of you have attended a parent-teacher conference? Okay, very good. Very good. So this is a very common occurrence in American schools. Now, if you're a parent, you might think about questions like this. How is my son doing? How is my daughter doing? Ask the question. Don't answer it because you're asking the question. You say, how is my son doing, Mr. Teacher, Mrs. Teacher, right? How is my son doing? How is my daughter doing? Does she do well in English? Does she do well in reading? Does he do well in math? Does she do well in science? Does she do well in art? Does he finish his work? Does he follow directions? Does he get along with his classmates? Which activities does she like? Which subjects does she like? Which people does she like? What problems does she have? Not problems, don't say problems, say problems. 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 What problems does she have? How can I help him improve his English? How can I help him improve his reading? How can I help him improve his math? How can I help him improve his science? How can I help him improve his interaction with classmates? How can I help him improve his behavior? And then the very general question, can you tell me about? You can say, can you tell me about his reading? Can you tell me about his mathematics? Can you tell me about his interaction with classmates? Can you tell me about his attitude towards her homework? So these are different kinds of questions that you can ask when you're the parent. And you can also ask questions about his attitude or how he or she feels, usually with some adjectives like happy, sad, angry, excited. You know your kids, sometimes you think they're happy to go to school, right? So you could say something like, she's usually happy about going to school. She's usually sad about going to school. She's usually angry about going to school. She's usually excited about going to school. He says or she says. So you can talk about what your child says when your child comes home. For example, he says that school is fun. Do you like that? He says school is interesting. He says that the teacher is nice. He says that the teacher is funny. He says that the teacher is patient. He says that the other kids are fun. He says that the other kids are good. He says that the other kids are mean. He says that the other kids are noisy. He says the other kids are smart. He says that math is interesting. He says that math is difficult. He says that math is easy. She says that English is fun. She says that English is easy. Maybe he tells you or she tells you something like this. At school, he likes to play basketball, but he doesn't like to read. Maybe you could tell the teacher something like that. Maybe you can say, at school, he likes to do science, but he doesn't like to do math. At school, he likes to paint pictures, but he doesn't like to do puzzles. So these are some things that you can tell your teacher, your child's teacher, so you can prepare for a parent-teacher conference when you're taking your child to talk to the teacher. Now, if you're the teacher or you're the child care provider, then you should be able to answer the questions about the children when the parents come to school. Is that good?